When I finally hung up my footy boots, having no footy to worry about meant I could pursue other interests, one of those being architecture. Now, I've been involved in a number of residential projects and smaller commercial builds, so I've come across a number of architects in my time. And let me tell you, from my experience, the very best architects are passionate, they're articulate, they're visionary, and perhaps most importantly, not short of an opinion or two. In this series, Designing Dreams, I meet some of New Zealand's very best architects and visit their favourite Kiwi homes. Big, small, old, new, all sorts of amazing houses all over the country. Along the way, we'll talk about the big housing issues like affordability and sustainability and what the future of the New Zealand house just might be. Plus, I'm always on the lookout for ideas and inspiration for my own projects. So I get the feeling we're going to learn plenty, we'll enjoy ourselves, and we'll get the inside word on what it takes to design dreams.
The landscape here means a lot to me. I've grown up with it. I just love getting out into the open paddocks, into the wilderness. It gives me a chance to think about what I'm doing. It lets my mind wander around. It reminds me that I actually want this landscape to still be the most important part of the site or the building. What I want to make sure is that we respect the land, allow it to be there and be the stronger form. That's really important to me.
Anna Marie Chin has a strong connection to central Otago, having spent a lot of time in the area as a child. 6 years ago, she chose the historic gold mining settlement of Arrowtown as the place to set up her architectural practice in a 150-year-old converted church.
So that's just about getting down to this path and then lighting up there. And I think that's all we need.
In that time, a lot of award-winning designs have been created here.
The team to me is really important. Like, for me, I couldn't do this without them. And I don't want to do it by myself. I like having people around me. I like bouncing ideas around.
It's a fun process working with Anna Marie. It's definitely challenging work. Nothing's ever the same. Yeah, that's fun in a sense that everything that you do is unique in some way.
For Anna Marie, a vital part of the design process is sketching by hand.
When I was a kid, I loved drawing. I can quickly hand draw something with a pencil or a pen and convey an idea, and I can actually analyse my thoughts by doing a hand drawing.
It's an extension of her brain. Yeah, it just flows.
If I'm drawing and it doesn't feel right, I know that I have to move on. And then you come back to it and go, oh, there it is. I can see it now. You need to scribble some more, and suddenly it comes. So you've got to listen to your gut. And over the years, I've learned to listen to it more and more. And generally, I found it's actually right.
Anna Marie's taken me to 3 Otago buildings by other architects that have special significance to her. But first, we're meeting up near beautiful Lake Hayes to check out one of her own houses. Hi, Anna Marie, lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you too.
Wow, this looks, well, quite incredible, to be honest.
So this is one of our recent houses that we've completed.
Holy, that's spectacular. Look at that.
Yeah, it's amazing in the daylight today when the snow's here. It actually accentuates the actual form of it, I think. So this house is sitting in this big, gutsy landscape. But what we've done here is kept with the traditional, familiar forms, which are the gables, but translated them in kind of a modern interpretation of that.
That massive wooden door there, which just looks spectacular. But I love the way this wall, it's like it sort of leads you down towards the front door.
Yeah, you picked it up, because that's what it's meant to do. It's meant to lead you into the house.
Yeah. When you enter, there's an unexpected twist. the exterior cladding seamlessly flows from the outside into the house to become the lining for the interior walls. No sign of your standard jib in this place.
So this is the living space.
Unbelievable. You can see the use of that gable structure that we were talking about.
Yeah, that traditional form that you can see on the outside. We've expressed it in these steel portals as they step down the room, and they actually help with giving it texture. Using the steel as kind of a modern element as opposed to timber.
I love the way the steel combines so well with the timber ceiling, which is sustainable Southland beach.
We orientated this living so you would actually have this amazing frame view at the end for remarkables. And then here we get the filtered north light. And the sunroom at the end captures all the heat, and then it allows it to drift through the building.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And then you've got the outdoor area that all opens up.
So you sit out there and you can either use it as an indoor room or outdoor room.
Genius. Oh, you're pretty good.
I'm glad you think so.
Bloody amazing. It's just blown me away. The finish and the level of detail in this house is super impressive. And to achieve it required an expert build team.
People don't see where the negatives line up right throughout a building. Right as you go through the building, that negative's perfect all the way through.
Yeah.
So that are
Local construction company owner Paul Rogers has skillfully helmed many of Anna Marie's projects. You're obviously the head builder on this place, and I tip my hat to you because it's fastidiously built, and the detail and perfection is unbelievable. Like this door. That's heavy as, and look how smooth that is. Like, it's just perfection. A lot of doors like this would need a guide rail on the bottom, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have that?
Well, you don't want that segregation between the two rooms interrupted by that track. So we fit the tracks underneath the doors and put rollers.
It's seamless, and that's the thing about this house, it is seamless. Paul's collaborated with Anna Marie for more than 10 years, and they clearly make a very good team. What's she like to work with?
She's amazing to work with. Like, she has this infectious enthusiasm. She's definitely got the X factor when it comes to designing stuff that's outside the box. Well, she's insane with detail. These houses look simple, but they're millimetre perfect. Like, these are joinery items in their entirety. You've got to be prepared for different things. Nothing seems to be the same from house to house, and it's interesting because she blows you away every time.
Oh, that was an absolute treat. What a fantastically beautiful home in a ridiculously beautiful location. Anna Marie's created a home in an environment that feels like it really belongs here. The environment doesn't overshadow the home, and the home doesn't overshadow the environment. And that's saying something when you consider that you're in one of the most beautiful parts of New Zealand. So I'm really looking forward to seeing more of her own work and more of the architecture that's inspired her. On the harbour coast of Otago Peninsula, hidden at the end of a typically steep Dunedin driveway, is the next house architect Anna Marie Chin has chosen to show me.
Oh, I used to love it as a kid.
Yes.
Because coming up, and it was secret, and then you'd open up to something like the house.
Oh, this is a nice wee surprise. What's the significance of this place?
It's actually my auntie and uncle's house when I was a kid growing up.
Just looking at it now, does it still have the same feel and bring back the same memories that you had back then, or?
Yes, it does. It entirely does. Like, this is a really architecturally designed house in that era of the 60s. It just blends into the landscape. It sits lightly on the land.
It sort of floats, doesn't it?
It's really simple lines with glass. It's still the same. And I'm super excited to go back in and have a look because I haven't been here for 15 years.
Anna Marie's aunt and uncle commissioned local architect Angus Black to design their home back in 1967. After raising their family here, they sold it, and Anna Marie hasn't been back since.
Wow. Oh my God. It's pretty much the same,
it?
apart from the kitchen. God, it's amazing. Like, it's hardly changed. The timber beams, all the built-in joinery is still here. It still has that light quality. You know, we've got the view, the big wide open view with the glass, but then you look at the kitchen, that's connected completely to the other side of the property, which is the trees.
Yeah.
And then all the light pours in, and I remember my auntie saying she really wanted a light-filled house.
Well, she certainly got that.
Even though it was built more than 50 years ago, its clean-lined, modernist features still make it feel very relevant and livable today.
Ah, yes. Very
Wow.
nice, very nice.
The only thing that's really different is the fireplace. But what's lovely is that the hearth is still there, and that's original. It creates a really solid base that you can sit on. You know, as kids, we used to sit on there.
Yeah.
Looking at the house, I think it has had quite a bit of an influence. I do use a lot of solid materials in my hearths, and I make them long ledges rather than just being a hearth.
That's almost like the length of the room, pretty
Yeah,
much.
and I love, you know, extending it so it becomes like an object in the space that's multi-purpose. But I really love this space. I remember distinctly because we used to have the Christmas tree in it. So all the presents were in this little corner, and
Yeah.
that's, as kids, where we wanted
you
to
were,
be
yeah.
and waited.
I bet.
Yeah. 'Cause the new owners have actually painted that wall dark, and it used to be white like the rest of the house, but what
Okay.
it does is create a backdrop and a little niche kind of space, a slightly darker space within this space, which
Yes.
is beautiful. And then they've replicated that in that wall. So they've
Oh,
bled
down
it
there.
through. It's a little subtle change to
Yeah.
modernising the house now.
So good.
Yeah, really good.
The house is split across 2 levels, with steps that lead up from the living space into the bedroom wing. Spending time as a child in this architectural home was clearly a formative experience for Anna Marie.
So these are bits and pieces that I found on the house. This is one thing my auntie gave me, which is the original sketch of the house.
Wow, look at that.
It's beautiful and it's a hand sketch. It's kind of like, that's what I always do.
And the place holds many happy memories for her.
Oh, I really want to get into these. I've been seeing these, so I think we're going to get a look at a younger version of Anna Marie somewhere. So is that your...
That's my
your-
dad.
Oh, that's your dad.
And that's in the living that we were in before.
He looks pretty happy.
And that's
oh,
my
and this is
family.
the whole lot.
So I'm that one.
Wow, what a cool photo. Isn't it neat that you've got that?
I know. As
So
a family, we'd spent quite a lot of time here.
Why are you
That's
photos?
a little one. That's the kitchen door.
That's you there?
Yep.
Yeah, you would have been like just sort of
Maybe
getting into 13,
14,
14,
yeah,
getting into
getting a bit
rambunctious teenager. Yeah, trouble was coming, eh? Real cool.
When the house was first built, it attracted quite a lot of attention and even featured in several magazines. The design was considered to be very unconventional.
The original architect was much more a commercial builder. The first design he came up with was a brick house.
Oh, they wouldn't have liked
Classic
that.
brick house.
Yeah.
No, my uncle just said, go away, you need
Yeah.
to design us something modern.
Yeah,
He took it as an architect, as a challenge, and created something beautiful.
yeah.
It's a legacy.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
The Otago region and its architecture are a passion for Anna Marie, and someone who shares that is her friend, Dunedin-born architect Paul Clark, who she met at university.
When you meet people who are from your region, I don't know what it is, but you immediately click. And so I think when you spend time in Central Otago, there's sort of that connection to that simple architecture, the landscape and the materials that are down there, that definitely shows in Anna Marie's work and the way that she uses natural materials to inform her buildings. The thing I admire about what she does is just the way that she puts a palette of materials together. There's a real richness in her architecture. The natural products that she uses, I think, only get better with time. But, you know, they're all crafted in such a way that there's a softness about them. They don't ever, to me, seem to fight with their environment. They seem to blend in well.
A place that's a very good example of that, set in a beautiful location just out of Arrowtown, is known as the Corton House because it's completely clad in Corton steel.
We wanted it to be of a material that would weather and age and have patina, and Corten steel is a metal which naturally rusts, and that rust becomes its protective skin. And those colours are actually part of this environment, so we found it quite appropriate.
The distinctive cross-shaped design of this house is a response to its undulating site and the weather conditions it's exposed to.
And that cross shape allows us to have spaces both for morning and for wind protection, and other spaces that are on the other side of the house that capture the evening sun.
The weathered, aged feel on the outside of this house also translates to the interior detailing, which Anna Marie was very hands-on with.
We didn't want everything to be modern and perfect and clean-lined. Bringing back some of the old shapes and textures was actually quite important. And so not just the tapware, but also the door handles and the light switches. If I can find a light switch, then here, little old toggle switches that, as kids, I think I used to like playing with. But there's something quite sculptural and beautiful about them as well. So it was just bringing back that old to new that we felt for this client worked really, really well.
In the middle of the main living area, there's a unique dining space created from a table that's been modified to merge into the stone kitchen island.
When you design something, you've got an idea for the exterior, and it's really important for the interior to come in and be part of that, the whole feel of the building, and it also reflects the client's personality. And for these clients, there's a quirkiness to it. Got this crazy range hood extract fan over the kitchen area. The client found it, and so that was just the fun part, but it is practical as well.
Well, it's certainly different, and no doubt it adds to the industrial feel of the interior, which you can also see in the materials. Polished concrete steps down to the main lounge, where there's a wall lined with steel. The opposite wall is stained ply and has a great little feature.
One of my favourite spots in the house is the window seat, which is carved out of the wall, and it's like a frame. Even though the space is quite open and big, you get this little contrast of solidity and comfort and shelter.
The other axis of this cross-shaped house is mostly reserved for the bedrooms, which are cleverly hidden away.
We've used the plywood and done the details so that it looks like it's actually not here, but this is the door to the main bedroom suite. And this is the reason that we put the main bedroom here, because look at this amazing view, like with remarkables. Imagine waking up in the morning to this, and it just gives you an uplifting feel. So from this bedroom space, we can connect to the ensuite. And here, we wanted to bring in the concrete again, that natural feeling of material, but just brought in some of the timber to give it a bit of texture into the space. And then we've made a little slot window, just so in the morning you can just get that little bit of view, which is always quite lovely, rather than it feeling too enclosed.
This home has been incredibly well thought through. It really does connect so well with its environment, and you can imagine it would be a great place to be at any time of the day, in any season.
I was kind of drawn to this end of the house because the weather during the day has changed. The snow might come. It's also made it quite reflective, and thinking about this house shows quite a lot about how with clients we start with a brief, and that's only the starting point, which we grow and add to, and as we get to know a client more and more, we can actually create something that's them. And I think that's what's important about architecture. It's not us overlaying or what we want a client to live like. It's trying to understand how the client wants to live. It's how we can best shape something around them that will bring out the best in them.
Architect Anna Marie Chin grew up in Invercargill, but it was after her family bought some old farm buildings near Arrowtown that her deep affection for central Otago really began.
As a family, we'd always come up here once a month. School holidays, this is the only place we ever holidayed. And this is where all my strong memories are from my childhood. The house that we lived in is a little corrugated iron house next door. That's where we stayed. Then there's this stone building here that I'm leaning against, and this was the original stables with the milking shed.
The building was dilapidated when her parents took it on, but they spent 10 years restoring it, and now Anna Marie's about to pick up where they left off because she's bought it and made it her home.
It's interesting because Mum and Dad, they created something, and now I'm going to take that to another level, which is now, you know, this kind of a modern interpretation of what they've created.
Living in these classic old Otago farm buildings has had an influence on Anna Marie's own approach to architecture.
The forms are so familiar. These gables are part of vernacular that are of this area. But it's also the materials. I've grown up with the stone. I love the robust corrugated iron. They age and weather.
A place where Anna Marie has referenced these simple farm shed forms in a really unique way is known as Tom's House. It's in the Jacks Point subdivision, which, like a lot of developments around Queenstown, enforces strict design rules to ensure the houses don't detract from the natural environment.
Around here you can see a really good example of the consistency that's created by a subdivision like this. We've challenged that, and the reasons that we've actually challenged that is because our client didn't want a house that looked like everyone else's. So what we've done is abstracted the idea of the standard gable and made it a very dynamic form. So it still is actually a gable, but it's twisted. So from the far corner, it twists across to this corner. So you do actually get a gable in the middle.
Some inspiration for this home's angular form comes from the rugged peaks of the Remarkables looming above it. And those interesting angles continue inside.
Wow, it's really cool seeing the space again. This angle of the roof that actually leads your eye down to the windows. The windows here frame that view of Coronet, but then you also open right out to this view, which is the west, which is absolutely incredible. It feels really good.
When Tom, the client, commissioned Anna Marie, he was only 31 and had a modest budget, so the house is just 150 square metres, and that's including the 2-car garage. But it feels much bigger, thanks to some clever tricks.
Instead of creating a big dining table space, we created a little dining nook, which actually is quite a snug space with a bench seat painted slightly darker. And that's a reflection back to my auntie and uncle's house, where the new owner had painted the wall dark and that little entry niche. In this house, we've painted sections of it dark, which extends that little space.
Anna Marie has certainly packed a lot into this awesome open plan space, but as it turns out, there's more.
So this is another little space that I want to show you, but it's sneakily hidden away, and it's another example of how to extend space up above the dining nook. So this space can be multi-purpose. So at the moment, I could use it as a library. So you can read, you can snuggle in, you can just relax up here. So it's a darker, more enclosed space. And we actually also put in this little window. It's a peekaboo window, sneaky peek of Jacks Point. But then, as another option, if we just pull this curtain, we can actually create a secret little sleeping nook.
Oh, I really love this quirky space, but if you don't fancy scaling the wall, there are 2 actual bedrooms. One's on the ground floor, and then directly above that, next to a handy office area, is the main bedroom, right in the apex of the abstracted gable.
So you can see the taper of the roof as it drops down, but it gets quite low over in the little study nook. It doesn't matter that that's low because it creates a coziness. And when you're lying in the main bed, you can look straight up to the Remarkables to the east, and you get this amazing sense of space. If you look at the ensuite, what happens is the roof drops down as well. It means that the bar then has a sense of privacy. So when we're working with smaller spaces, one thing that we like doing is extending the spaces or connecting spaces. So one thing we've done is actually provided a window that connects down to the living space, and it also has the added advantage of allowing more light to come through. And then the light from the living space then adds a 3D dimension to this space as well.
Anna Marie's created a real gem here that feels a whole lot bigger than it actually is. So it's not surprising it picked up a Small Home of the Year award.
It's all about the feeling that you create, whether it's a big house or a little house. It doesn't have to be a certain size to create something that's beautiful.
Architect Anna Marie Chin has designed a lot of incredible houses, but she's also given new life to some old existing ones by repairing them and adding new extensions that make them relevant for contemporary living.
The one thing about these old buildings, I think it's because I've grown up in them and I really respect them. They have a history as well, and when people give me an opportunity to be involved in restoring or celebrating existing old buildings, I get really excited.
These projects often feature unique transition zones that bridge the existing building and the modern addition.
It's important to keep these old buildings because they're useful. You know, you don't have to demolish them to make something better. They are as good. You gotta celebrate them, and then they become really good.
With Anna Marie's passion for historic buildings, it makes sense the next place she's showing me is one of Otago's most iconic heritage landmarks, Larnac Castle, which she has fond memories of visiting as a child.
So it's an impressive building, that's for sure. Not many castles in New Zealand. What made you choose this?
I think it's because it is a castle. Like,
Good point.
you know, you always loved the castles as a kid. They were
Yeah.
always in storybooks, and it was this enigma at the top of the hill. Why would someone build a house this size in the middle of nowhere?
Exactly. Yeah, just the engineering feat and the logistics and the admin to build this back in those days. You just wouldn't take it on. You wouldn't take it on now, would you?
No, well,
Like,
imagine
try
how
and
much
build-
it would cost.
Imagine, I wouldn't even like to think.
I'm told it was entrepreneur and politician William Larnac who was bold enough to build it. He commissioned architect Robert Lawson to design it for his beloved wife, Eliza, and it took more than 200 men 3 years to build the shell and another 12 years to finish the interior.
I love the light in this space.
Yes.
Isn't it amazing? It's got a really beautiful quality about it.
Yes.
These Queenslander-style verandas were originally open, but the story goes that after enduring a couple of Otago winters, Larnac imported 20 tonne of Venetian glass and filled them in.
And this is the dining room. Oh my God, look at the ceiling.
That is insane. Imagine how long it would have taken to do all those individual pieces.
It's kind of inspiring, you know.
Yes.
But look at the whole
Ridiculous.
room.
Yeah.
Today in architecture, we don't do that same level of detail. One is cost,
Yes.
but two is we're peering back.
Minimalist, eh? Is that the
Yeah,
word?
kind of more minimalist.
Definitely nothing minimalist here. Larnac spared no expense on his home, employing master craftsmen from Europe and the finest materials from all over the world. The foyer ceiling alone took 6.5 years to complete.
So this is the ladies' room.
Oh, it really feels way more feminine, doesn't it?
Oh, I know, look at the delicacy of the space.
Yes.
And then look at the ceiling. Isn't it beautiful?
Unbelievable. It also reminds me, like, I probably shouldn't say this, but like a Christmas cake sort of thing, you know? It does, eh? Like,
Actually, it does look like a Christmas cake. But every time you go into one of these rooms, it creates a different feeling, doesn't it? When you're actually wandering around, you get kind of awe-inspired, like, how the hell did they even imagine this? And that's what you always want to do as an architect, create space that everyone gets wowed or excited about.
Someone who knows every inch of these spaces is Norkin Barker, whose parents took ownership of the castle very spontaneously 50 or so years ago.
So 1967, they were on a honeymoon and saw it and just basically bought it on the doorstep. Simple as that.
no way.
On a honeymoon?
Yeah.
Really? And was it pretty run down, or?
Very run down. I
Was it?
remember as a kid just running around every time it rained inside. And the ballroom was being used as sheep holding pen for local farmers, so imagine what that did to the place.
Your mates must have loved coming here.
Oh, we had some good parties here.
Yeah, I bet.
You could play hide and seek in this house.
Oh, you'd never find
Yeah.
it.
Oh, it'd be cool. Imagine that.
Yeah,
Hide
you
and
know, but people would stop playing, be hiding forever. Yeah, be like,
I think it's awesome that Norcom and his family have saved this fantastic piece of architectural history. Before we leave though, there's one last spot we've got to check out.
Oh my God, look at that view. Isn't it amazing?
Holy
No wonder they
smokes.
sited it here. Look
that's
at that.
incredible.
It's amazing having come back here, because when I was a kid, you always looked at it from the castle point of view, and now coming back and seeing it from an architectural point of view, you look at it with different eyes. And I realise how beautiful it is and how much energy and work went into it. And they've created something, just a beautiful building in the landscape. Now it's going on for the next generations into something that's different, which is lovely.
Alex, I think if he was looking down now, he'd be like, well, I've kind of left New Zealand something cool.
Oh,
he
and there's
has.
nothing else like it.
There is no doubt Larnac left an amazing legacy, and while contemporary houses don't tend to have the same degree of detail or grandeur, I think Anna Marie's buildings definitely have a wow factor, and like Larnac Castle, will stand the test of time. One that certainly has an impressive presence is a home wrapped in copper and schist set on the lower slopes of Ben Lomond Mountain, close to the shores of Lake Whakatupu.
This is one of our largest sized houses, and that's to do with the brief. It's a 3-generational family. They've got lots of grandchildren, so it was really important for them to be able to have a house where they could all have individual spaces.
The site for this project was incredibly challenging. It rises very steeply and is pretty much solid rock.
We actually had to basically cut out the land and create benches to put each level on.
Another issue Anna Marie had to tackle with the site is its orientation to the sun and views.
So this is the main living level. It's the 3rd level of the house, and the view in this instance is on the south side, and the sun is on the north side. We're against the hill. So the way that we've dealt with that is we've got a cantilever deck out to the south side where the view is. In the morning, you can sit out on that deck, look straight out at the view, but as the day progresses, the wind starts picking up off the lake. And so from there, you can move through into this courtyard here, and this is where it gets the afternoon sun, the evening sun, and where the big fire is.
Anna Marie wanted this place to feel like it was part of the cliffside it was built into. So local schist is used on the outside, which blends into a smoother stone inside, and then contrasting warm timber is seamlessly built around it.
To achieve something like this, we had great builders. The builders really worked with us and crafted the building. They talked to me about the fact that they really enjoyed working on it because everyone wanted to create something amazing, and it was a challenge to everybody. That's actually what architecture is about. You come together as a group of people and you all work together to achieve something for a client that's unique and for them and special. And so that's one of the joys I get out of architecture.
Other rooms flow off this central living area, each quite distinct from the other and with their own unique ways of connecting to the incredible views.
This is a really good example of how we've sculptured the roof, that it drops it down and it actually draws your eye and accentuates the big view of the Remarkables. We've stepped this down to make it feel a bit more like a sunken kind of lounge, so it actually feels separate, but it is actually connected. That's actually the challenge of these larger houses, because in smaller houses, you know, we've got spaces and we're trying to make them slightly bigger by using niches. Whereas here, we're trying to break them down so they don't feel overwhelming, because it's still got to be a home.
The various levels of this house are connected by stairways designed to create a relaxed, meandering feel, and they have a different look depending on which part of the house they're in.
From this lower level, we wanted to get a sense that this building is carved out and sitting within the rock. So what we did was we carved out the stairs at the lower level as solid elements as if they are part of the rock. And as you move up the stairs, they become more lightweight.
This more hunkered down part of the house, below the living level, is where all the bedrooms are. My favourite has to be the children's bunk room, with its crazy giant sofa. My kids, they'd love this space.
It's been great coming back to see the house after quite a period of time, because you have this vision at the beginning of what you want it to be like, and now because it's had time to weather and the landscape's grown, now I can see that that vision is actually coming to fruition. And knowing that the clients are really happy with the house and they're going to use it for generations to come gives you a lot of satisfaction, because in the bigger picture, that's what we want to create, something for them forever.
In a pristine location surrounded by mountains is the last of the 3 Otago buildings Anna Marie selected to show me. All of them made a big impression on her. But seeing this one pretty much changed the course of her life.
I came here most probably when I was about 17.
Yes.
Just with my uncle, actually. And look, it's a real Ath house.
Isn't it beautiful? Yeah, it is, with the towers.
It's by renowned Kiwi architect, the late Sir Ian Athfield, or Ath as he's most often known.
It's kind of like a Hansel and Gretel look.
Yeah, it is actually. That's what I loved about the house. And I think that's the thing, it was that whimsical feeling about it. When I went to university, I was originally going to become a dentist, because my dad was, and I kind of thought, do my first year at Otago. And at the end of it, I said, not sure about this, and I have a feeling this is one of the influences in my life that made me start thinking there's another option here, because it made me feel, I don't know, I just really enjoyed being here.
The colour looks really cool. Like, it really suits the setting.
Well, the thing about those colours now, you would never be able to do it. You know, and
the regulations and stuff.
But you look at that and you go, it actually fits well here.
It looks amazing.
And I think that was one of the things about Ath is, you know, we've got these amazing mountains behind, and his thoughts on it were they are strong and dark and gutsy.
Yes.
So you either make something look background and small, or you go, hey, bugger that.
Look at me.
Yeah, exactly. Here I am.
It really does make a statement. Punatapu, as it's known, was built in the early 1980s for Sue Farry and her late husband Pat, a pioneering doctor. Together they wanted to create a special home for their family that could also function as a health retreat.
So this is the courtyard. Oh my God. So what I loved was all the collection of buildings. I remember this.
It's like a little community of buildings.
That's how Ath thought a lot. One of his big picture things was trying to create community, and community within a house. As people change and get older and get grandchildren, it could grow and expand.
Yes, it's perfect for that scenario, isn't it?
After the family had grown, there was a time when the Farries ran this place as one of Queenstown's first luxury lodges, hosting high-profile guests in this cluster of 5 very character-filled buildings.
Like the slate roof is amazing.
That's recycled, so that came off Otago Boys High School. In those days, you couldn't get all the materials you can now. But that's the thing, you know, Ath was able to just work with what he had, put it together, but make it feel like a whole.
There are actually many recycled elements in this place, including some doors which came from an old Otago bank.
It does have that real, like, sense of playfulness and fun, eh?
Yeah.
All right, where are we going?
Yeah, exactly.
Which ones are we going to?
In a way, this grouping of buildings reminds me a bit of the collection of farm buildings that Anna Marie grew up with.
So this is the start. I remember the conservatory. I love the way that this brings in all the light, and it's warm.
Oh, it's so warm. It's so beautiful. Look at that.
And then
that kitchen's like sensational as well.
I know.
You can really see those organic Athfield forms here, with plasterwork inspired by architecture of the Greek islands.
You know what? I love these little spaces, like how little it is.
See, this to me is just like really regal.
Look, I've got a little window seat.
Yeah. And these chairs are so cool, like. You wouldn't think to put chairs in it, like, it's obviously a hallway from one room to the other, but you could sit here quite happily, have a cup of tea, read a book.
Look out to the courtyard.
Look out to the courtyard, it's so cool.
There's a real sense of discovery in this place. Different rooms and intriguing spaces flow from one to another.
This is the room I loved as a kid.
I can see why. Like, it's outstanding, isn't it?
Look at the beams, like they're amazing, but they're modern. It's actually like a church.
It doesn't feel like you're in a cavernous room, it still feels quite intimate, and it really works.
It actually makes it feel like it's got more space in it,
Yeah.
I think. I love that fireplace.
Yeah, me too. Actually, yeah.
And look at the view. In a space like this, you'd think glass. Just
Yes.
make the whole thing glass. But he's actually framed the mountain.
You could sit here, lie here all day and just watch the clouds go past, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
Every room in this house has a distinctly different feel from the others, and yet they all work together as a whole, which is similar in a way to Anna Marie's houses. There's that element of surprise.
So this is the swimming pool.
Oh, she's nippy out here.
Oh, she is cold.
Hey, I think, did someone steal the roof? So,
No, I actually think what happened is Sue didn't want to clean it. So she wouldn't let them put the glass in it.
Oh no, she's a bright lady. There's no doubt about that.
Exploring these fantastic buildings and the epic Otago landscape that inspired Anna Marie at an early age has been such a cool experience. And I think I can safely say that her own incredible architecture will inspire many others for a very long time to come. But before we finish our time together, there's one last feature here she's keen to show me.
When I was a kid, this is the place that I really got excited about.
Oh, the piece de resistance.
Yes. I always loved how steep these stairs were. And then, this is what you always wanted, was a tower.
Look how beautiful that is, though.
Oh, my God.
It's so cool. Not only is it an amazing setting, but it's been a wondrous house, actually. Thank you for bringing me here. It's been a real treat.
Do you know what? It's been great coming back. I've really enjoyed it.
I can see why this particular piece of architecture, as a teenager, would have affected you so much and perhaps sent you on your journey to becoming an architect and away from being a dentist.
Actually, I'm really glad it did. You know.
Me too.